Yale's Sustainability Leadership Forum offers an opportunity for people in a wide range of fields: law, business, the non-governmental world, government officials, academic types at all levels, higher education, secondary schools, and people in other fields like public affairs and communications to come to the Yale campus in New Haven, Connecticut for a special introduction and focus on one of the overarching themes of the 21st century, sustainability. And we're going to look at that concept and really provide a chance to dig into it through a series of modules and focused discussions. And from my point of view, this is a chance to really get into the thought leadership that's framing one of the core concepts that defines how we are living our lives in the 21st century. And we've got a distinguished series of speakers, of teachers, professors who will be leading these modules, leading these discussions from across the Yale campus, from the Yale Law School, from the School of Forestry and Environmental Studies, from the Management School, and from a number of the departments in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. So an outstanding faculty base for this discussion and for this exploration of sustainability as a key concept. So we're going to dig into the energy dimensions of sustainability, the environmental protection issues, how this comes together in the business setting, in a government setting, how policy is evolving, and we'll be thinking about problems at the global scale, the national scale, the state level, and the local level. So really a very broad perspective on sustainability. We've got a number of professors who've taught in this program before and are back with us again. Marian Chertow, who's our professor of industrial ecology, will be explaining this concept of industrial ecology and the kind of world that she writes about, thinks about, including concepts like a circular economy, where much more is being recaptured and reused as opposed to being one-time use. We've got Professor Gary Brudvig, who's a molecular biophysics and biochemistry professor, an extraordinary scientist, and he's going to talk about innovation and science. And innovation is one of the big themes of this program because it is the world that's changing and hopefully becoming better when we relate to issues of sustainability. We'll also have Don Elliott, who's been a professor at the Yale Law School for decades and who is going to talk about the changing world of environmental law, how we're moving from command and control mandates where government dictates outcomes to much greater use of economic incentives and market mechanisms. We'll also have Professor Brad Gentry from the School of Forestry and Environmental Studies talking about land conservation strategies. And Brad's really been at the forefront of a number of ways that this field has evolved. And he'll talk about how private conservation, land trusts, and other mechanisms have really transformed how open space is protected, how wild spaces are protected, how wilderness is thought about across our country. We've got a number of other speakers who will be with us for the first time. Sue Biniaz, who's been for 3 decades the lead lawyer in the U.S. State Department focused on environmental issues and a top negotiator on climate change. She'll be providing an insider perspective on the recent climate change negotiations that led to the 2015 Paris Agreement on climate change, and will really offer some thoughts on what works, what doesn't, as we try to bring the world community together to respond to the buildup of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. We've got as well David Lubin, who's a leading figure in the world of corporate sustainability, and he has now focused his attention on how the world of investors are bringing sustainability in as an element of portfolio decisions. So a growing number of not just socially responsible investors on the side of the investment world, but mainstream investors are asking, what's the carbon exposure of my portfolio? Are the companies that I've got my money in really doing good things for society? What do we think when we look at these companies? Are they meeting environment, social, and governance expectations? And he'll talk about that. We've got Tony Lyserowitz, who's a world-recognized expert on climate change communications. He'll talk about what words work, what words don't work when we're talking about environmental issues generally and climate change in particular. And we've got Julie Zimmerman, who's one of our star professors at the School of Forestry and Environmental Studies, in fact, the Associate Dean, the Deputy Dean of the school now. And she will talk about her expertise, which is green design and green engineering. And this is a very big area with lots of transformation in the business world coming as a result of new materials, new engineering, new thinking about how we want to make our products and what we want those products to do. We'll have some focus on the economics of environmental issues and sustainability, on changing patterns in energy, I myself am going to lead 2 of the modules and 2 of the discussions, one on sustainability as a mega trend. I like to say that the 21st century, everybody has to think about the sustainability imperative. It's part of what you need to know if you're going to be an informed professional in really any field. I'll also be talking about climate change as a case study, thinking about what's happened in the climate change arena, what might happen as a result of the new administration, and how this is going to play out for businesses, for governments, federal scale, local scale, state scale. So a very broad, in-depth conversation about climate change. So I hope many of you will find this interesting. We really do think it's an opportunity to dig into thought leadership from the very highest levels, representing the best of academic thinking, but also perspectives from the real world, for the practical world, the business world. So please do look online for our materials. The program this year is September 12 to 15 on the campus of Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut.